Want to thank our sponsor, Parati's Quality Meats, located in Cranford, New Jersey, serving customers all over New Jersey for the past 50 years. Welcome, everyone, to another edition of Coach's Talk presented by the Shore Football Report. And tonight we have the head football coach of Holmdel High School, Jeff Rainess. Coach, thanks for coming on the show.
It's my pleasure. Thank you for having me, Coach.
That's awesome, man. You know, I have family in your district. My Jody, I think you do know that, right? And
you know, Coach.
Big fans of you guys, and hopefully, my nephew and plays football for you. I know he likes to go to the games and throw the football around and say he's going to play for you. He's kind of like a lacrosse guy, so you got to blend lacrosse and football in the next couple of years because there's some talent coming up in those ranks with those younger guys.
We like those lacrosse guys. They're not afraid. They're not afraid of contact. We like those guys.
Oh, that's great, man. But you got the community of Holmdel really, really excited about football, Coach. And it's a remarkable career of what you did. And your story is going to be something that we want to all hear. But, 8 seasons prior to you, they had non-winning seasons. And during those 8 seasons, from 2008 to 2015, they were 18-61. Not the type of football you want, consecutively for 8 years. And then you took over after your first year, the last 4 years, 4 straight winning seasons, 26-11 during those 4 seasons. To me, that is incredible from where you were to where you are now. I mean, how proud are you of that situation?
We're extraordinarily proud. So a lot of people ask me how do you get that done? How does it happen?
Yeah.
And all the credit to the kids, to be honest with you, they're the guys doing the work. Sometimes when things are going right, you get the credit. When things are going bad, you don't. That's not really the way that we do things here. We're very team oriented in what we do. And I'm just, I'm extraordinarily proud to be at the front of it.
And Coach, the way you're talking right now, you always talk like that on the phone. So there's no, hidden talks that you do. You're always talking about team concept and watching you guys play. You do play as a great unit, a great team, exciting brand of football. And I can't wait to talk more about the Holmdel Hornets. But let me introduce you now, instead of me just interjecting with a couple little parts here and there. Coach Rainess is the head football coach of Holmdel for his 6th season. Prior to that, you were at Mater Dei as an assistant for 1 year for who was the head coach there?
Shannon Hoadley. Yep, great. And then prior to that, you were at Bishop R as an assistant coach for 2 years for Don Solfakanik. So that's great. And then prior to that, you're going to talk about in your process. But you had a 20-year gap of coaching, right? Yes, sir.
And then when you came back, you must have been pretty excited. I mean, when you were away from football for that long, how exciting was it to get back on the field?
I literally went and knocked on Coach Solfakanik's door. So, I had a business that was right down the road from Bishop R, and that's how I got back in. I literally went and I knocked on his door, and I was like, man, I can't take it anymore. I got to get back in the game. And he was like, where did you play? Where did you grow up?
Right.
And then we wound up getting to talking, and the rest is what it is.
That's great, Coach. That's going to take us right to the process right now. During this part, the process is where you talk about how you started and how did you finish up as the head football coach at Holmdel. So can you please walk us through from the first time you maybe put a little mouthpiece in your mouth, played football, to all the places you were at, to where you are now at Holmdel. So let's hear your process.
I grew up in Morris County, up in northern Jersey, and I grew up playing football. From the time I was seven on or whatever it was, I played all the way through. I wound up going to Morris Knowles High School in Denville, New Jersey, and I played for Coach Regan, and he had a huge impact on my life, and to this day he still does. So, Hall of Fame coach. He's a phenomenal mentor and a phenomenal guy, and he just had a huge impact on me. I was one of those kids. I was maybe heading down the wrong way, and his program and the way that he teaches football and how much he cares for his kids. That's a big reason why I went to get back in the game at some point. So I went and played there for 4 years. I went and played at Susquehanna University after that. We had a great run. My senior year, we finished number 3 in the country. We had a really good run. And then after that, for 2 years, I played actually in Germany. I played overseas in Stuttgart, Germany for 2 seasons. I came back. I got a job working for Thomson Reuters. Within a year or two, whatever it was, I worked out a deal with the head guy that I could come in at 5:30 in the morning and leave at 2, and I would drive all the way back to Knowles, and I coached with Coach Regan for a couple of years, mid '90s, right during the middle of one of his real good stretches. So, we got a couple of good wins in the stadium, and and I got to dive into what it is. I kind of knew I always wanted to do, but you get to coach in a place where you grew up and coach for a guy that you care so much about, and it really taught me a lot. So, then life gets in the way, and 20 years later, a couple of kids, this, that, the other.
Yeah.
And I felt like it was important for me to go give that back a little bit, that experience back. So I was coaching my kids in AYF, and I was, and that was good. Right?
Yeah.
That was a good segue, but it wasn't, it just wasn't enough. So
still coaching, Coach. We talk about this all the time. No matter what level you're doing, coaching's coaching. So you were still coaching football that you love. You just wanted to coach at a higher level, which is great. But I think that some of the most important coaching is done at the AYF level.
Oh, it was great. I mean, it was I'm coaching in town here and coaching my son's teams and other kids in town, and that's listen, at the end of the day, that's proven to pay off in a big way with this job.
Mm-hmm.
People know who you are a little bit. They know they know what you're about. They know you care about the kids. So there's a little bit more of a trust factor, right? Yeah. And so like you alluded to, there was a tough stretch here before we got here, and that's of no fault of the coaches or anything else. It was a broken culture. It was, when we got here, it was bad. It wasn't a great culture. So again, credit to the kids. They're really the ones that did it. They're the ones that turned it around. We've been fortunate enough to have a little bit of success over the last couple of years, and it's been great. It's been one of the most rewarding things I've ever done in my life.
Coach, you had a little bit more than a little success. I do remember, maybe was it 3 years ago, weren't you Coach of the Year in the whole Shore Conference, which says a lot about you and your program, turning it around and being recognized by your peers as the Shore Conference Coach of the Year. That's incredible feat right there. So just a little bit more than a little success. You really have been one of the elite teams, top 10 teams the last couple of years too. And, you got high expectations that you've built. And, that comes with success. So you can't hide away from that. So like I said, you had a little bit more than a little success. I'm going to say it out loud. So from a guy from Ocean County looking at what you did, and I'm excited to hear how you did it, because a lot of respect throughout the Shore Conference. And when you play a Holmdel Hornet football team, you're in for a game, because your guys do play and run through the wall for you. They do.
Thank you.
Great. That's a great story. I want to know, though, those 20 years, were you ever kind of thinking about maybe jumping into the high school level, or you just went with, you just went with the flow?
Every minute of every day, Coach. Every minute of every day. So I worked on an energy trading desk, and things are super fast paced, and it was an hour long ride into the city and on the way back, and it used to give me a bunch of time to think.
Right.
And I just kept saying, man, like, there's going to be some day when I can put a whistle around my neck and ride my bike to the field and go do what I will.
Now, were you able to structure your times differently? Like what time do you stop working your job?
Well, so now thankfully I don't do that job anymore.
Oh, great.
The stress of that job and this job would be in that.
Okay, good. So for 20 years, while you're doing all your driving, you're kind of thinking of a plan, and you always got to dream and think about that stuff, and it came to reality, and thank God for yourself and the kids and the whole program. That's a great story, Coach, with the process.
I always like that thing. I always like to kid around and say, if it was a great job at that point, I wouldn't have gotten it. So,
well, that's true. So things happen for a reason, Coach, and thank God they did for yourself in the program. Okay, now, Coach, first I want to take this thing off. All right, no more COVID talk. I know you're sick of it. I'm sick of it. Us coaches, we have to be very flexible. Every single year, and last year there was just a big example of that stuff. Just tell me something positive that the Holmdel Hornets program learned and yourself learned from the COVID season?
Listen, I think we learned we could trust our kids a little bit. We obviously couldn't be around them when they were working out. When whenever they came back to us, whatever that was, August, September, when we had that little first, kind of phase one thing or whatever it was, you could just tell those kids they had been lifting and they had been running and they had been doing the things that they were supposed to be doing. I will say, like, listen, the Zoom thing, it's not a perfect gig, but it's not a bad way to teach, right? It's not a bad little way to, you use the huddle on there, you use, you can draw on there, you can talk on there. Like, it's not a bad way to teach.
No, not at all. I cringe when you said phase one. Phase one, I just got real, because again, phase one was no football and no more than 10 people. I mean, did you find it hard to teach the game of football with missing a football and not having all 11 to be able to be? And again, they had to be spaced out 5 yards from each other. Your line splits must have been enormous, Coach, when you were running your offense.
As an option guy, we like big line splits, but that was ridiculous. But, listen, we worked on fun. I just probably the same thing that other guys did, right? We just tried to be smart about it. Work on fundamentals as much as you could, work on conditioning as much as you could. And try to get some football. But I mean, when you're talking about an option team, we couldn't mesh. No. You could. So I don't know how you're supposed to do that. With what was going on, but so we figured it out.
And you couldn't touch an object, and somebody else couldn't touch it. So that one Olympic sport, when the ball's going on the ice and you keep rubbing it. So I had one assistant coach, when he hit a bag, we did this drill, and we were hitting a bag and moving. So he keeps rubbing it. Next guy comes, he keeps rubbing it. So yes. We were being creative, but again, no football with that. But the main thing is we had to build trust, like you said. Trust was important. You lost your power because your control, because you had to trust that everybody was doing the right stuff.
Yes, sir.
That was a tough time. Glad we're in better stretch right now, and hopefully we don't ever see those days again, though.
Amen.
Hey, Coach, now you're going to talk 2021 Holmdel High School football schedule. And then to the right is the newly formed Colonial Division, playing a bunch of different teams that you probably haven't played in a long, long time. But we'll get there secondly. Please take the floor with your schedule.
All right. So with the change, the late change with Modern Day, that we were supposed to play them week 0 or week 1 or whatever that's called on September 2nd. So when that went away, we were kind of stuck. We had to go out and find a game. Mm-hmm. St. Joseph's by the Sea gave me a call one day while I was at lunch.
They just happened to call you up?
He did, yeah. Coach George.
Wow. Coach George is there?
Yeah. So he called me up. He was like, I see that you're looking for a game. I put it on like that NJSIA site or whatever it was, looking for a game. And so he called me up, and we just got to talking, and that's the route that we wanted to go. So the big thing was at that point, losing those guys, we only had one home game scheduled. So it was just as important for me to find a home game for our seniors as it was to just, find a game. So I had to find somebody that was willing to come to us, right? So, listen, Staten Island, it's not far up the Parkway, and he was willing to make the trip, so we did it.
Great.
So we started out with those guys. The following week, we get to go to Middletown South. We get to go to the Swamp and play, Coach Antonucci and all of the things that go along with those guys. That's a pretty cool thing to be able to go to that place and be able to play in that atmosphere. So we're excited about that. After that, we head over we're on the road. We're at Manalapan. I don't think that's a team that Holmdel has ever played. The following week, we head down to the Parkway to go to Southern. Again, I don't think that's a team that Holmdel has ever played. No. At the end of that stretch there, we get to come home at least and face, a really, really powerful and legitimate program in Jackson. So that is some stretch of football games there for Holmdel. And after that, we get a bye, and then we'll go play somebody that's a little bit more familiar. We're a little bit more familiar with, and that's, we go play our traditional battle of the border game against Raritan.
Coach, I'm just looking at this schedule, shaking my head, because now I'm seeing it just from your end right here. So just, maybe 14 years ago, you guys didn't have an identity, 8 years of losing seasons. And all of a sudden now, would you ever have thought that in your sixth season of football, you're looking at your schedule, you're playing every football team there that has a winning tradition. I'm talking state elite. You have Middletown South, you have Manalapan, you have Southern and Raritan. I don't know too much about St. Joe's by the Sea, but I'm going to have a feeling they're pretty decent. But those are all established programs. I'm talking top 10 teams in the shore traditionally, and you're now included in that mix of that schedule. You ever pinch yourself at times?
Yeah, let's call it pinching myself.
but coach, the other thing is that the Mater Day was supposed to be also added to this schedule, which is I'm scratching my head, which would have been a multiplier game for you too. So you lost them, and you got St. Joe's by the Sea. I really hope you get that multiplier back because they are a parochial.
I hope so too. I still don't have any. I still have not heard back about whether or not that's the case or not.
Crazy, man. Let's look to the right-hand side. Enough about the schedule. Let's just break down your division. And to me, it's like an honor that they put you in there. If you think about it, again, the new colonial division was formulated. What they do in the short conference is they put all the teams competitive that had competitive type of records and reputations, and they put you in with those guys. Southern Regional with Coach Chuck Donahue, Steve Antonucci, Middletown South, Dominic Lepore and Manalapan, and Coach Vin Mistretta at Jackson. They've all either have won state championships or have they been on staff that have won it over there, Coach, and then including yourself. You got some pretty tough teams there. Would you agree?
I think that's an understatement, Coach. I've had everybody ever since the schedule came out telling me that I should somehow take this as a compliment.
Yeah.
Listen, I think we're in the positions that we're in because we're competitive people. There's a big part of me that listen, man, we want to go play good teams. I will say that, from a school that I think the groupings just came out. I think we literally just made group 3. Mm-hmm. We missed group 2 by 5 kids. Mm-hmm. I don't know. You look at this and, the way I always put it, Coach, is I'm a big fan of Army football and what they do up at West Point. And I always say, those guys have had a couple of good years, but I don't see them moving to the SEC anytime soon.
No.
So, listen, we want to play good competition. We want to play in those games. I guess if there's a concern, it's about playing all those schools back to back, right? That's really the concern. It's you want to throw us into more of a competitive, division. I understand that, and I get that, and there's part of me that wants to embrace that. I think that the football coach in all of us says, there's no whining and there's no, you got to line up and play, and you got to play the schedule they give you, and we're going to go do that, right? I think, I think the hard part comes about playing those, schools that big and that physical and that well coached all in a row. Right, that's the concern. It's that's the biggest thing as a head football coach. That's the concern.
And that's your division. Your non-division is St. Joe's by the Sea, which I'm sure is a very, very strong, powerful parochial team, and Raritan, who's looking to win a state championship, who just got moved to South Jersey too with Coach Petrus, and they're excited about their football. There is no breathers there except the bye week.
That's a great program and a great team, and we see those guys every year, and Coach Petruzzi does a great job with those guys. I mean, there's no breaks in this thing, man. It is what it is, right?
No, and I guess the ADs got together and saw how the last 3 years you guys have had so much success. You really have, which is a tribute to all you guys. But now you're playing this. I'm going to say this is one of the toughest schedules for a Group 3 program in the state of New Jersey, I would say. Would you agree?
Without anything to judge it against, I mean, I would say it's probably up there.
It's probably up there, Coach. But I know you're going to work hard. You're going to compete like you do all the time, and who knows, man? Sneak a couple games here or there, and you never know with what's going on with this season. Hey, Coach. Now, for this part, I want you to talk about those assistant football coaches that are the glue to the football program, that make you look good all the time, that the kids rally around all the time and just have a great connection with. Let's hear some names of your assistant coaches.
Sure. Well, we're very proud and very honored to have the guys that we have that have come on with us since we first got there. So when I first got the job, the first guy I went after, and thank God he said yes, was is John Principi. He was a longtime defensive coordinator at Raritan, an unbelievable football coach, and kudos to him because he's done a remarkable job with our kids. Not only is a great scheme guy, but he's an unbelievable guy with the kids. Like the kids just rally around him. And he's just been awesome. So he's the defense coordinator and coaches the linebackers. The other guys on his side of the ball. Charlie Marsh is a long-term Madawan assistant. He came over to us last year. He's coaching the defensive backs. He does a great job with them. Fits right in with Coach Principi's scheme. He does a great job. And then Coach Mike Dorsey, the Red Bank Catholic grad. He came to us. He's been there for 4 out of the 5 years. He coaches the D line. He does a great job. He's a little bit younger guy than the rest of us, right? The rest of us are old guys, and he's one of those young guys that he connects with the kids a little bit more. So that's kind of cool. Then on my side of the ball, I'm the offensive coordinator, and I coach the line. Coach John Kay is with me on my side of the ball. Yeah, you want to talk about a guy that knows his stuff, man?
Yeah, he does.
What a great addition to the staff he was, and forced me to kind of look at things a little bit differently than I was, and just a huge wealth of knowledge. Has made some unbelievable calls over the years. He's a great guy to have by your side, man. An unbelievable guy up in the booth, and that was a huge get for us, Coach K. And then Drew Piscatelli he's another guy. He's an in-town guy that coaches the wide receivers. He's been instrumental, working with us and helping us out with the strength and conditioning stuff, and also just with the in-town guys, right? So he was another guy that, his son is now a sophomore now. So he just, he knows all the guys in town. He's a former Holmdel player, played collegiately, came on with us a few years ago, and he's done a great job. And then, I would say, up with us with the varsity guys, we have David Sherman is a first-year guy. He's coming on as a volunteer. He played for Coach K and Coach Marsh over at Madawan. His name is Dave Sherman. He's helping us out as kind of a swing guy. Sometimes he helps out with the back. Sometimes he helps out with the line. He's still kind of learning his way, but he's a guy that shows up and works hard every day, and he's doing a nice job for us. So. Thomas Manning is the strength coach. He's done a remarkable job with the guys that we have here. That's a huge part of why we've been able to do the things that we've done. And then we have a kicking. We're lucky enough to have a specialized kicking coach.
Really?
Steve Leo. We've had some good kickers here. We got a real good one now, a sophomore kid. And Mandini, who, he's, in practice, he's booting 50-plus yarders, and we're excited about what he can do.
Really?
So Coach Leo, he kicked at Delaware for a number of years, and he's not there every day, but he's a big part of what we're doing.
Right.
We work real hard at the special teams, so that was a great get for us. And down at the freshman level, Coach Hart and Coach Cannon. I know you know Coach Cannon.
Yeah.
Those guys have done an unbelievable job, and getting guys ready to come in and step in. And that's their job, right?
Yeah. Wins
and losses matter less, and it's more about getting the kids prepared. And you want to talk about two guys that did an amazing job in COVID. They worked their butts off, and they got our kids ready. And I tell you, by the time they came to me, after the season, they were ready to go. So we're going to be really young, and the fact that those kids have been able to step into those roles is really a credit to those two. They did a great job.
Coach, I love hearing about you guys when you start talking about the young coaches. You kind of like perk up. Young coaches, first-year coach, and now you're established and you got some veteran coaches here. Just adding some new coaches to the mix kind of is exciting a little bit, isn't it? It keeps us a little young and fresh, doesn't it?
It is. It is. I think we look at the world a little bit differently. I think both offensively and defensively. And so, while it's great it's awesome to have guys like Marsh and Kay come in with all of this experience. It's kind of cool to see the teaching through a new person's eyes, right? So, like Sherman's he's never seen triple option except when he goes and watches the Army Navy.
No, if he's playing Madden or that football game. And see,
exactly.
So when you say they look at life a little different, I'm going to just say one word to you, which kind of is the biggest example: music. My music and their music, night and day. They don't like it. I'm old. I'm this, and I don't like their music because I don't even think it's music. I think it's just like just them venting.
People yelling bad words.
Yeah, right. So, but that's how come they get along with the kids, because they kind of blend in with those guys with the word music. That's
Oh,
that.
yeah, last year I had to finally the pregame music. I couldn't take it. I couldn't take it anymore. I finally stepped in with the pregame music, and I called. I figured Marsh was the guy, right? He's got a good mix. He's an old school guy, so I wound up. He wound up putting a little bit, a little bit in for them. But we had some AC/DC, and we had some good old fashioned stuff. Made me a little comfortable.
Oh, I never thought that NFL Classic was old to everybody. They didn't like the old school, but the music that these younger generation guys and the coaches who are younger too. I'm talking to you guys. I can't relate to that type of music. I can't. But it keeps you guys in line, because they do have a great rapport, these younger coaches, with established coaches, like you said, Coach Persipi, Coach Marsh, Coach K, yourself. That's exciting, because it kind of keeps us kind of, young, right?
Yes, sir.
Holmdel Hornet football team. But before you go on, just tell everybody briefly what you run offensively, defensively, and then let's talk about your key returning starters that you got this year. I know you have 2 all-short kids that you can't wait to talk about, who are great football players on and off the field. They're winners. Go ahead.
Yes, sir. So schematically, it's funny. When I got here from Bishop Barn, Modern Day, right, I had spent some years learning the spread stuff, and I had every intention of coming in and running all of this new stuff that I had learned.
Mm-hmm.
And I just remember getting in and looking around and saying, like, that's just not going to work here. Mm-hmm. So I went back to my roots. I went back and I grew up in a split back veer, running triple option. Coach Regan's helmet behind me there.
Right.
So, listen, God bless him. He's still running it to this day. I spend more time talking to him than I do pretty much anybody else on the planet.
He's still running it, huh? Wow.
Yeah. Yes. So that's who we are. We're probably a little bit more multiple than he is, but we're a triple option ball club, right? What formation you're running out of, or that's somewhat secondary. But mm-hmm. We're gonna try to make you, be very specific about how you're defending it, and we're going to try to find a weak spot.
That's awesome. What's up? And how about defensively, Coach?
Defensively, I think Prince would probably call himself multiple. I don't know. Sometimes we're 4 down, sometimes we're 3 down. He's pressure oriented, and I will say, like, for both of us, I think we're both very focused on trying to be fundamental. Like we look at the program that we have and where we've come from, and at the end of the day, if you can block and you can tackle, mm-hmm. that's going to give you the best chance to win. So, scheme aside, I think it's a better way to put how we approach things is really from a fundamental standpoint.
I mean, with this offense that you put in, you got your athletes into second level. After second level, it's on them. If they take it 30, 40 yards, but you've built your program around being tough up front and being physical, and you playing that disciplined offensive scheme right there. It's very, very tough to prepare for, especially if nobody's running that stuff. Is there a lot of teams running that stuff that you noticed? Or
I think it's me and Coach Regan. I think, but
yeah, Point Burrow.
So that's flex bone type stuff, yeah. and that's a little. I mean, listen, at the end of the day, it's sort of the same stuff, but mm-hmm. it's really not, right? So, at the end of the day, that's why we went to what we went to, is because we were undermanned, right? And we didn't have the kids mm-hmm. that some of the other towns had. Mm-hmm. So, for us, it's about we really focused hard on trying to become more physical as a unit, right? So, what you do defensively has to kind of match what you do offensively, mm-hmm. right? Because you guys are practicing together. So we just wanted to be. It really started because we just wanted to be more physical. So that's really why we went to what we did. But
well, you got him going, man. You really got him going. I saw a lot of your games when we had exchange films with other teams, and you were playing similar opponents. And I'm like, wow. I mean, the way you guys were running your offense, and again, you were physical. You had some dudes. I think you have one guy that also is playing at Nebraska now, right?
Yes,
which you're pretty proud. I love seeing the coaches all smiling and all that going through your program. Now we'll talk about him later, but you have key returning starters, but you're a young team, but you have 2 dudes. You have 2 dudes that were not only All Shore, you have a first team All Shore, Thomas Sordo at linebacker, and a second team All Shore, Jaden Gallo, who was a running back at second team All Shore, all first team All Division, but they're leaders on and off the field too. And would you like to talk a little bit about both those guys and who else you got coming back?
Sure. So listen. I think it starts with those two, right? So they're obviously great players. They're terrific weight room kids. They're great leaders on the field, off the field. They're both tough as nails, and explosive type players. We'll start with Tommy Sardo, but he's a disruptive force. That kid. Coach Petruzzi has said a couple of times, we play those guys every year, and he's like, we just, for 2 years we haven't been able to block the kid, and that's coming from Coach Petruzzi. So we've gotten really good feedback from him. He's getting recruited by FCS, some FCS teams. He can run, he can hit, and he's a nasty son of a gun. But I love the passion and the way that he approaches it. Jaden is very similar athletically. A slasher type kid with, he's got legit breakaway speed, a real good fit for what we're doing. He ran for over 1,000 yards in 7 games last year. He's a problem if he gets loose.
Good. It's great. And you, like you were saying before, you got some exciting kids, younger kids coming in. You just haven't been there, done it with these guys as being the top players. Because when the All Shore preseason stuff comes out, they're going to get all hyped up, Sardo and Gallo. And then you got the younger guys with them. Hopefully they elevate to them, and they may surprise you, these new kids coming in.
Yeah, well, I think we have one more senior that I think is worth mentioning, and he's gotten some FCS interest too. He's a big kid. He's 6'4", 6'5", tight end and defensive end kind of kid. His name is Gavin Rahab. He had a breakout year for us last year. He's difficult to block because he's long. He creates some matchup problems for us, when he's playing tight end. And he's really grown into his own. He's done an unbelievable job in the weight room. He's 220 pounds now or so. He's a tough kid to block, man. He's long and he's wiry and he's tough. So we like him. We're expecting big things out of him.
Oh, that's three pretty nice, good football players you got coming back, Coach. You're pretty. No wonder why you've been smiling a lot lately. Now, is there anybody else returning starters coming back, or maybe some younger guys that maybe I might want to hear some names about?
Oh, sure. So listen, we're replacing literally the entire offensive line.
Wow.
So John Kim is stepping in for Joe Mancino was the guy that you're talking about that went to Nebraska. John Kim is a guy that's going to step in for us at right tackle. He's been waiting in the wings. He's done a really, really good job in the weight room. 500 plus, squatter. The kid's he's a big kid. He's a tough kid. The other running back spot I think is probably leaning towards Luke DuPont. He's a real good wrestler. You might know that name from wrestling, the DuPont name. He's a tough kid. And then under center, it's going to be Jared Battaglia, who he got some snaps last year for us. So I think we planned on going into it with a little bit more of a 2-platoon kind of deal. And Donnelly was just, he was a pain in the butt to deal with for teams last year. So, Jared wound up getting less reps than I think I probably would have wanted to, but he got some, right? He got plenty of experience. So he even played as a sophomore. He won a playoff game for us when he was a sophomore against Redbank. So, he's seen live bullets and he's ready to go. He's a good player.
Now, these guys have all been running the same stuff freshman year to right now, right? So they're it's great when you have all the levels running the same stuff, which is tough because, maybe you don't have the athletes to do it, at the lower level, but you trust the fact that this is our system. This is what we're going to run. So when they're coming up the ranks, how far down are they running this offense in your program?
On Wednesday, I'm going over to the 10U, the field, and we're putting in beer.
So good. They're doing it great. That's awesome.
Listen, I don't ever push it on them, because I know, people have their thoughts about it. We don't throw the ball enough. We don't do this. We don't do that. So listen, I don't ever get involved with what those guys do. But when they call me and they say, hey, look, can you come down? Like, to me, I think it's smart to just let's call it the same thing, right? You want to run it out of the gun? That's fine. Let's all just talk the same language.
Yeah.
So that by the time they get to me, they don't think I'm speaking some crazy language to them, right? So, okay, like I said, I live in town. I'm at a good graduation party here or there, whatever it was. Somebody wants to talk about it. I was talking about force patterns with some guy the other day at a graduation party. So, we're trying to instill the culture and the philosophy as far down as people will listen to us.
That's awesome. You're at graduation parties. You're lining people up. You're leaving this one lady alone. We're going to read her, and we're running. Right? I've been there, done it. My wife doesn't like it, but sometimes you got to use chairs or guys holding their cake and say, "Staying right there. We're gonna combo to you and do all that." But that's great. There's no better teaching tool than having a guy with holding cake just standing there in the corner. You're the read cake. That's awesome.
That's very funny.
Great.
And very true.
And very true. But that's great, man. That's awesome. Coach, I want to thank you for coming on our show today and talking about your football program, the Holmdel Hornets. A lot of things that I've learned, but those 4 years, those last 4 years on how you really got it going. And the years prior, because we used to play Holmdel. We used to play Holmdel way back in the day through the years, and we kind of had a little bit of a rivalry playing. And again, we're all playing different teams and all that, but I have a lot of respect, not just myself, but coaches throughout the whole short conference on what you've done with your program in that short span. And I'm sure there's going to be many, many more successful seasons coming up the ranks. Just hearing about your coaching staff and knowing how you are and seeing how your players play for you, just insert this person, same results, same expectations you have every year, right?
Well, Coach, I can't thank you enough. So you can only imagine for a guy that for 20 years wasn't involved in the game and always wanted to be. You're lucky enough to come into this situation, and we're fortunate enough to have a couple of good years. And then you hear guys like yourself, who have all of this experience, and I hear that stuff from me, and I just want to let you know it really does mean a lot. When people stop me and they say that, like, there's only a few guys that know how hard this was, and I know that you guys as head football coaches, I know that you understand that. Shane was a tremendous part of that, and really kind of helped me through those first couple of years, and he's been a great resource, for me. So to hear when you guys say nice stuff like that, like, I just got to tell you, man, it means a lot.
Thanks, Coach. When you're away from the game, this is my first year away from the game in 27 years. And I just went to the doctor the other day, and he goes, "God, your health is as good as it's ever been." My wife's happy, right? But I'm not happy. I'm not happy because as well as I do, you like that pump during the game and the adrenaline and this, the unknown, what's going out there. And there's something about football. So I can relate to you that you've been away for 20 years. This 1 year is killing me. This 1 year is killing me. I don't want another 19 years doing it. So I'm doing everything I can to get back on the field. Maybe one day, who knows? But you miss it.
And I would say this too, Coach. Is like living in town, and you bump into people at the ShopRite, and there's some pressure there.
Yes.
And it's just been a great ride. And again, if I could say one thing, I just thank you to the kids that bought in, because it's been an amazing thing to watch. It really has.
It's really, really special when you made a difference with the younger guys too. I'm talking about the guys that you don't even know who are going to play down the road, but they know who you are. They look up to you. They look up to the players. And, if you're staying there long enough, you're going to have them on your program. And that's when it's really going to hit home, that I've been coming to your games for 10, 12 years. And now they're going to be the next Sardos and Gallos of your football program. And that's when it really kind of –
Let's hope so. Let's hope we get a couple more Sardos and Gallos.
Well, the other programs don't like that and all that stuff. So, Coach, thanks again. Where we go now from this will be posted probably tonight. TheShoreFootballReport.com will be covering football in the Shore Conference all year. Your video will be on there, and you want to get your program to get as many views on it. I have a top 20. I did 22 teams, so you don't want to be that 2 teams out of the top 20. You're not receiving votes and all that. So we're making it competitive. Right now, Manchester's got 540 views right now, leading right now, and we're making it competitive. I got to make things competitive. I can't just – let's do it, all right? And there is a lot of people that would love to hear you speak because you did a really nice job talking about your program. I'm excited about the future, but let's have fun and with this season too, with this division. There's what I look at it. Your division's tough. The other coaches are talking about you the same way. So you belong in that division in terms of respect and tradition and all that. You got it going. And your coaches that I had on the show that are in your division have so much respect for you and your program. They really do.
Coach, I mean, I don't know if we're not still on. Are we?
Yeah, you're on. You're on. I'm not shutting. I'll shut it off in a minute. Then you can tell me something. But
well, I called one of those guys the other day, and I was watching, and it's a little bit surreal to hear them talking about Holmdel. I will say that I just have so much respect for those guys and what they're doing. Like these are like Hall of Fame coaches, man. These are like ultimate top 10 programs. Like it's hard to not take it. It's hard to not take it as a compliment.
Coach, our profession's a real tight, close-knit, profession, and we all have respect for each other. We do all have each other's backs and all that stuff, and then we go into our season and we try and beat you. You try to beat us, and then we see each other later on, and it's great. It's a great fraternity of stuff that you're in a process with right now. It really is. So,
I'm very lucky to be.
All right, Coach. All right, I want to thank you very much. The head football coach, Holmdel Hornets, Coach Jeff Rainess. A lot of luck to you guys, Coach. I really am excited to be covering you guys and watching some good football.
We'll see you down the road, Coach.
Thanks, Coach.